Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the player ranked #1 in the world by Dark. In the blue, the final boss, it's Dark. Up against one of the best players from the United States of America, the Terran in the red, it is Epic. Now, it's his name, not the clickbait title, though we might double up on that. A true underdog, Terran versus Zerg. And whether you want to see Dark continue to dominate, or an actual new challenger approach. It'd be awesome if you could like, and if you haven't made it there yet, maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what? 1,388 likes on this video, on this cast. I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get significantly better than the first Reaper. Well, that is an inauspicious start, as Epic laments it in the chat. Dark just gives him the double dot response. You can tell he's an American. He's already chatting it up, relying on the chat instead of his gameplay, which is, well, there were not very many errors to make so far, but so far Epic has going for the 100% on him. Well, that first Reaper dying means no ability to delay any more bases. Obviously, no fancy creep tumor sniping. No chance of scouting something like, say, a Roach Warren that Dark is whipping out at the 3.5-minute mark. So, we will see what Epic decides to do about it. But right now, his prospect's not looking incredible, as Dark is just going to have free reign over the map for the most part in this early game. The Reaper, it isn't a big deal, but emotionally, oh, devastating. The Queen's going back and forth as the creep spreads. Cloak Banshee is on the way. 4 Hellions. Hello? Susan, where were you? The Hellions dart in. The drones are pulled. 4 drones dead. He doesn't have Zergling speed. Epic just gambled it. But sometimes when you gamble, you win. 10 drones for 4 Hellions. Drags the Queens out of position. There are 13 drones in production, as Dark attempts to replace them immediately. But 11 kills. But wait, there's more. Hellions in the natural. 13 kills right off the bat, and Dark is knocked down to even. And even some of those... Wait! There's still a Hellion! Finally gets cleaned up. A disastrous... 13 drones! Dark, clearly. Lulled into a false sense of security. Well, actually a well-justified sense of security by killing that early Reaper. But then failing to do the due diligence of defending anything past that. And Epic, he didn't have any vision. I don't believe he had any vision that this was a gasless play. Though if he did, a little more information than I originally thought. But just running by with the Hellions. Dark out of position. The Queens, a bit lackadaisical. And suddenly we got a game on our hands, as Dark now has to play a defense with those Banshees on the field. 1, drone damage. 2, no chance of moving out with the Roaches. It looked like Dark wanted to do some sort of Roach timing, like he usually does against foreigners, aka non-Koreans, really non-Dark. Just trying to smack him out of a series quickly so we can move on to some real competition, which is, I assume, looking at himself in the mirror. But Epic not letting him get by so quickly. And now, 3rd command center's done. Double NG Bay is going to be significantly quicker than Dark's evolution chambers. He's already got an infestation pit in production. The Banshee's working on the 4th base. Queen's trying to make up for their mistakes earlier. Overlord pushed away. He will have spotted Epic's upgrades. And the double Banshee play. I mean, a staple of the Terran versus Zerg matchup. The Marines are just kind of waltzing across the map. Double medevac. He has a siege tank as well, but there's... Once again, Dark doesn't have really any units. He has 5 Queens, and that's it. And that's... and drones. He's got Roaches in production, but there's no Roach speed, no upgrades here. As Epic boosts in, will be able to siege up the tank. He doesn't have 1-1 done yet, but he doesn't really need it. The 4th base is the target. Gonna do a lot of damage in this initial attack. The queens have the transfuses. The roaches are coming off the line. Is there detection? There is not. A lot of extra damage being dealt by the banshees. Whereas there's no overseer, which a massive oversight here by Dark. Not having the detection in time. The queen's getting chased down. The banshee's adding so much damage. 1-1 done for the 2 marines left over. Overseer comes up. 4th base nearly dead. Not quite there yet. Banshee getting targeted. And the queens will knock out 1. And Epic, well, kills. The Banshee will probably die. There are infestors out, but not much to protect them. Another drop comes across. Drops on the opposite side of the rocks, takes down the changeling. That hatchery, Epic missing maybe an opportunity to actually kill it off. It is a liability now for Dark, who's supply blocked as well from losing overlords. So certainly a series of unfortunate events. But the 4th base is still alive for now. Dark also lost pretty much all of his queens. So that certainly doesn't help his level of production. Epic now up 15 supply against a roach-based Zerg. That's not supposed to happen. The supply and efficiency of roaches. Well, you can max out on them so quickly, but they're just not very good, which means if the Terran player has more army supply against this sort of army, it is certainly not great for the Zerg. Especially considering the upgrades, considering everything right now. The only thing Dark has going for him is himself. So, if there is anyone who can reliably hold themselves out of this sort of situation, now it's Dark. And I think he's starting to take Epic kind of seriously now. Epic is routinely a top grandmaster, like literally in the top 8. Hasn't really translated into great tournament results in the past, but certainly knows how to play from an advantageous position, even against someone of Dark's caliber. And that caliber is going to be needed in order to even survive this push. The Marines running in. The 4th base goes down. The fact it was allowed to mine at all was a bit of a miracle for Dark. There's an Ultralisk Cavern on the way, Vipers as well, but Epic up to 200 supply. Rotating back around, looking for the 3rd base. Zergling counterattack is spotted. There is still a Banshee, or I think he rebuilt a Banshee. But the Bio Army headed down the center. Another drop coming in, denying any more opportunities at the base. That army is really clumped up, but spreads out just as Dark tries to close in with the infestors. A couple getting obliterated and ragdolled across the field. And Epic, a beautiful spread. I can't believe it's not butter. A bit chunky, but those siege tanks, they all unsiege, though Dark can't quite see them all here. This fight could go disastrously for Epic, but there's just not that many units for Dark. It doesn't matter if he takes a beautiful fight, the war is very much in doubt. Huge counterattack, though. The door is open. Command center canceled. Dark. Well, the drops come in. The natural is now vulnerable, losing a whole lot of SCVs. The Fungals come out, they do okay. There's just not that many Banelings here. The Terran army is stutter stepping through. +2/+2 done. Ultralisks in production. The Vipers, the natural is falling apart. Blinding clouds, he can't see anything. He's in the dark, and Dark is coming for him, but it doesn't matter. The Terran army, the American, with his drugs, his guns, his grit, and his tenacity, and a little bit of gambling, comes through and takes the game. Epic. For a moment, it looked like he might stumble. The counterattack was very good and almost devastating. If that army hadn't won the game, well, Dark turns it around, but not this time. Epic plays from the advantage. Anyone, it might seem like some of these players are just so much better, but you can't have the queens out of position. You can't just do a random roach all in with no extra protection against the Hellions, because if you play with fire, you're liable to get burned. Not sure how that really works into that whole scenario, besides the fact they're Hellions and they're pretty lit, fam. But you know what? Please clap. Please like and subscribe. We're going into game 2, Alcyone with Epic on match point, which means he took one match at a best of 3, but bear with me. Well played. Jimmy, come on. Game 2. Epic gets a point on the board. And now, not a particularly bad map for Terran. Not that those really exist, but Dark, I think, will be taking Epic somewhat seriously now. It was greedy. It was greedy to just kind of sit back and relax like he did after killing that first Reaper. Just kind of relying on almost like a gentleman's agreement that you don't run by with the Hellions. But 13 drones is a lot of damage, and those Banshees followed up afterwards. Maybe we'll see. I wonder if Epic... I mean, that was the most standard of builds. The 1-1-1, the Destiny Cloud Fist, as I've hallucinated in the past. The Hellion Banshee. Literally, if you said he opened up Hellion Banshee in Terran vs. Zerg and ran by trying to kill a bunch of drones, it could have described any game in the last 15 years in Terran vs. Zerg, and it wouldn't feel out of place. So, just solid execution. I think the margins are a lot thinner than many people realize. Like that last... What is this saying? Like, the last 10% is 90% of the work. And that's pro players in SC2. So many pro players, like, I think the most notable example is Oliveira. I think now has proven he deserves to be included in that top caliber of players. But when he won the World Championship at IM Katowice, against Maru and Raynor and Hero, in that order, that was Oliveira playing at the very top end of his range. And maybe his opponents not quite where they'd like to be. But a lot of players overlap, but just that's why you see a lot of these crazy new strategies and stuff like that by players who maybe 20% of the time are able to show that level, but their average level just doesn't compete. And the reason Cyril is so dominant is because he seems to be always at that same level, which is higher than you and me and pretty much, well, literally everyone not Cyril. I don't think... Cyril over the last, 2 years has been possibly the most, maybe just a year, but the most consistent player. The greatest of all time, and consistently so. But how did we get to Cyril? You know, every StarCraft 2 conversation is not more than a handful of steps away from Cyril, so... the metaphorical elephant in the room. All right. 1-1-1, 3cc, Dark. This time, no, it didn't go for Zergling speed, just now getting gas. Are there Hellions? Indeed, there are on the way. So, an opportunity potentially to run by. It's a Roach Warren at 3.5 minutes yet again. Anything before 4 minutes usually means some semblance of aggression. Starport is done. Fusion Core! Epic is Battlecruiser rushing Dark. He won a big game, and now he's making some big plays. Building the Fusion Core. There's no... The advanced ballistics, forget about it. Caduceus reactor, come on. At the Fusion Core for Battlecruisers. And, well... Dark, who's going for 8 roaches now. Just loaches. More of a zoning roach group. Roaches don't stack up too well against battlecruisers. And the timing, well, if he decides to attack with the roaches, they likely could be across the map before the battlecruiser is constructed from that starport. But, yeah, he spotted one. He's going to build a cyclone. The roaches are scampering across, but here come the Hellions again. Looking for an opportunity, not finding it. Shuts it down. Get off my creep. and it doesn't really have the same level of punch after they got onto our creep and murdered so many drones last time. Okay, Karen, one thing, just one thing. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. Broach is at the front. Battlecruiser only 2/3 of the way done. Single cyclone helpful, but the bunkers are not quite done yet. And Dark probably wondering why he's actually getting so much done, as these roaches are not supposed to do much more than zone out the Hellions and kind of control the Banshee. But there is no Banshee. So Epic in kind of an awkward spot, losing SCVs. The Battlecruiser is on the field. Corrosive Bile actually lands and clips it. The bunkers will not be completing here. The Battlecruiser will eventually clean all this up. But Battlecruisers are not... Well, somebody may have called for an exterminator, but the Battlecruiser certainly shouldn't be it. Is he gonna jump? Or are we just sitting back building up? He jumps into the third base, a bold move. The Spore Crawler is done literally the moment the Battlecruiser starts firing. And the Queens, oh no! And the Queens converge. Clearly on their many, many toes. Show me those toes, Queens. You gotta go to Dronely fans for that. I don't... But the Battlecruiser already preemptively repelled. Not even bothering with a Spire, which he may regret, as not going Spire against Battlecruiser. Queens are great, but once the Battlecruiser count grows to more, well, to any sort of plural, that's when they drop off significantly. There's the Spire from Dark, just making sure he has enough economy, and he goes for the gold. I actually really love that choice. He knows that Epic is not going to have much on the ground. He doesn't have too much of a way to actually punish this, because usually the way you would punish it is something like a siege tank push or marine medevac. So in this unique scenario, against the Battlecruiser, the gold base isn't nearly as vulnerable. That doesn't mean it's completely safe, of course, as the Queens go on an archaeological expedition under duress here. The Queen count at a even 10. Another one getting taken down. This Battlecruiser jumped in, which means it can't jump out. That's actually a lot of damage being dealt. The whole Queen Moot is brought together, and the Battlecruiser glides away. 34 HP. Overseer gets in. It's going to be a bio follow-up, as Epic using this as cover to get to a mass barracks play. There's a Baneling nest, infestation pit on the way. And Dark is at 81 drones. So the Battlecruisers, unfortunately, this kind of demonstrated why the Banshee is the default choice and not the Battlecruiser. Because Dark, with a roach timing that didn't really slow down his economy, was able to severely hamstring Epic's economy himself without really costing much. He, one, forced him to use the Battlecruiser defensively, and then, two, he actually outright killed SCVs. So, Dark in a pretty comfortable position here in Game 2. The Battlecruisers, an optimistic choice, and still on the field. Good for defense. Combat shield isn't even done here. 2-2's just now starting. Dark is pretty far back on the upgrades as well. He's not even done with his 1-1. As both sides really focused on the unit composition before the upgrades themselves. Epic a dozen Marines at a time. Watchtower is taken. Dark spots all this. With combat shields finishing. Ooh, the Battlecruisers are with the main army. But that's a lot of Banelings. Dark is going to have several dozen of them. And a big counterattack is lining up. And Epic has some reinforcements, but the Lings get in. And at that moment, well, he doesn't have Baneling speed. Epic is looking the wrong way. The Banelings might not need speed. Oh no! Speed finishes, but the Battlecruisers are providing a lot of cover here. A dozen SCVs. The engineering bay is under fire. Queen's being gunned down. Battlecruisers providing a whole lot of extra support, but they can't kill that many banelings. Battlecruiser's still strafing. A big part of all this, a single battlecruiser badly bruised. 30 SCVs dead, though. The third base. I need an instant replay of that. I saw that number go up very quickly. Ah, the banelings. While he's distracted by the lings, Dark brings the banes in. And what was a decent position for Epic is shattered as the banelings roll in and the SCVs are knocked out. Oh no, it's a disaster for the American. And the battlecruiser needs to pull back. The NG Bay upgrading +2 weapons is burning. He does repair it with a single SCV. The battlecruisers, this is still a dangerous army. A hive is completed. Ultraless Cavern is on the way. But Epic is in a very tenuous position here. Microing back. That battlecruiser still not repaired. The baneling count, great splits. He keeps trying to pull back the battlecruiser, but it's not working out. The corruptors overhead, the banelings underneath, the siege tanks overrun. And the upgrades are not kicking in time. Epic. The supply is thinning out dramatically. The corruptors are helping to take down the medevacs. That last battlecruiser will be knocked down. Epic supply down 50. If that counterattack wasn't so devastating, maybe he would have some bootstraps to pull himself up from, but it's just not enough on the field. He has the upgrades, but Ultraless in production. Dark, 78 drones still. The Corruptor's looking for something else to do. He's got a Greater Spire on the way. So he's not going to be lacking in options. 45 SCVs. Epic is not built anymore for quite a while. Looking to snipe off any medevacs. Oh, that's too much. The Lings and Banes will overrun. The Corruptor's still helping out. And that's going to be that. Epic run down in game 2 as Dark. Clearly stepping it up a couple notches here. He's like, all right, you have my attention. And unfortunately, not too many players survive that for long. GG. All tied up. I appreciate the attempt. Both sides demonstrating some key points. One, Epic, his creativity and his willingness to battlecruiser rush Dark. And Dark demonstrating why battlecruiser rushes aren't really a thing. At least against Zergs that are always keeping a build like that in their pocket. That feels like Dark's default, I'm better than you, roach timing. If he doesn't end up losing a bunch of drones to Hellions, it's going to do some damage. And Epic was delayed too much in being able to counter it. That brings us to the ace match. Site Delta will decide it. Epic in the top left. Dark in the bottom right. I want to see. It's just not. It doesn't work out. I'm thinking of ideas and rejecting them in my head before even saying them out loud, which is not good commentary. But I just want to see the battlecruisers work. Battlecruisers is a late game choice. We always have Gumiho, who's kind of shied away from them for the most part nowadays, but occasionally they'll get brought out. I wonder if Dark does the same timing again without Roach Horn. I think it works especially well when your opponent isn't going for the Reapers. If you don't have those early Reapers that keep kind of control the situation, like 3 to 5 Reapers to delay the third, to actively scout whatever you're doing. Gives you a bit more warning time, and having a couple barracks at least early usually is much better suited for dealing with the roach timing. Of course, it has its own weaknesses, like its reliance on those early Reapers and the predictability of the follow-up. But usually those are outweighed by the benefits for most Terrans. All right. First Reaper heading in. The Zerglings bounced around. Taking a bit of a dramatic path here. There's already creep at the back. The Queen's about to complete, but he makes the wrap around. Oh, no! Oh, my. Okay. Thought it was going to happen again. But not quite. And stay out, young man. Brenda, come back inside. Get back to creep. Marine pushes away the Ovi. I expect Banshees again, but I'm more than willing to be surprised. Keeps things interesting. After that lesson learned. Third base taken to the north side for Dog. And Zergling speed this time around. Oh no, the Reaper! And grenade was good. The Zerglings take it out. And he gets away. Close, but just slightly too late to save the Reaper. And Cloak Banshee is the choice. Already flipping over after just 4 Hellions. Interesting. Looks like he wants to ramp up that production earlier than usual. Is there a third command center? Yes, on the low ground. And then adding more racks on. Meanwhile, Dark. 10 drones in production. Just a handful of Zerglings. Not really respecting these Hellions. Oh no, the Overlord gets in. It's such a key timing. He's gonna see the barracks building. And that means he already knows it's just going to be the 4 Hellions. Now, a bit embarrassing for Dark. He got supply blocked on his scouting Overlord, and he had no other Overlords. He had no Overlords in production. Please clap. So, that was a, sudden and inevitable error, but Baneling Nest is on the way. NG Base Epic spooling up into your relatively standard big barracks play. Whereas Dark is rushing towards what is like... Hey! Hey! Alright. No. Alright. No. Susan, could you just 3-point... It's my turn to inject. You got to inject last time. The Queen's pulled off the line, but the Cloak Banshee's at the third. Spore Crawler angled to make it a little easier for those Banshees to be taken out. Epic landing at his third. Now the Queen's right on the edge. Overseer is done now, though. Maybe gonna try to bait the Queens in the rocks. As well, 4th base halfway done. 2 Tumors not quite taken out. Finishes up just in time. And now Infestation Pit is on the way. Epic, though, even on supply, solid army ready to move out. Does he have an armory done? Not quite yet. Trying to put some pressure on. Can't let Dark get to 80 drones. We've already seen what happens then. The Medivacs are on the field, bringing everyone else. Dark putting together some Lings and Banes. The Banshee's still looking to try to delay anything here, but the counterattack is stopped before it really can start. Dark actually goes up the center. A single changeling. Hey guys, in the pipe 5x5, am I right? Hello? That's not... Must have been the wind. Changeling in place, but the Zergling's looking for a counterattack. No combat shield yet, but 1-1 is about to complete. Already +1 weapons. Baneling speed is done. Dark doesn't have that much to deal with this. Of course, that is increasing by the second. Here comes the Lings and Banes. Epic. Oh, Baneling's closing in. He picks up, he gets out. Loses 2 tanks in the process, but darts right towards the main. And Dark with nothing there to defend. Now we'll be finishing up his 1-1 upgrades. A scan clears out the creep tumor and spots anything else coming in. Targets down the Baneling, but there's more than enough Zerglings to make sure the rest of it has to pick up and get out. But Epic taking a good trade to start things off. Hive is already on the way, though. It's actually nearly complete. 8-minute Hive for Dark. And Ultralisks are a tough proposition. He's gone for the Ultralisk Cavern in every game thus far. We have yet to see the game, yet to actually see them complete before the game ended, one way or another. Well, you will see here. There it is, Ultralisk Cavern once again. And Epic loads up a triple drop to the north side. The pressure is on. Epic has a limited time before that Hive tech fully kicks in and potentially kicks Epic out. All right, Marines. Darting in. Hit the stems. Deep onto the creep. Does he not have a scan? He does now, but it's a little on the late side of things, and those Marines will pay the price. Epic now down 20 supply. He's got the Octo Rex on the way, but it just doesn't stack up great against upgraded Armorlisks. Good target fire, picks off some Banelings, but there's still just so many Zerglings on the field. Just too many to deal with. Lings and Banes all over the place. Epic with a solid supply count. And a good pickup, but he saw the Hive. He has to know that Hive tech is coming online. Feels like he's buckling down to defend. But no Ghost Academy, only a handful of Marauders. Though he's added more tech labs on to his outside barracks. Probably not the ideal ones to have tech labs on. But these Marauders give him a stronger chance against the Ultras. But as time goes on, you really need the Ghosts. No Ghost Academy whatsoever yet. Epic looking around. Almost 200 supply. 10 minutes in, both players mostly able to go about their plan without too many delays. Marines stutter stepping back, taking out a whole bunch of the Zerglings, and Dark, it's still enough Zergling. They have Adrenal Glands done. The Bio Balls getting melted by Banelings, though I've been doing a pretty good job of gunning down the Lings. Ghost Academy's on the way, but now he's got the proposition of going toe-to-toe in the late game with Dark. So that's a tough order for anyone, but that's something Maru struggles with. So Epic in a very tough position now. Quarantines one medevac. Parasitic Bomb looking for more. Medevac gets knocked out alone. Burrowed Zergling delaying. It's too cute. Can't land on it. Finally taken down. More Marines. Still no Ghosts in production, but a whole lot of Marauders being added into the composition. There are 132 Zerglings on the field. That is that's a lot. Binding Cloud. Tanks overrun. Banelings rolling through. There's another huge wave of Zerglings up to the north side. Wow! Hold the door! Hold the, oh, what door? Baittlings go right through. And the 4th base is gone. The 3rd base is overrun. The Natural's next on the agenda. Epic may stop the bleeding. But it's more of an amputation at this point. Epic is actually ahead on supply. As Dark kind of ran out of larva for a moment. There's still Zerglings in the mineral line. I don't think he noticed. 4 orbitals on the field. He's able to move 1 over. Ah, the Zerglings pop back up. He didn't notice the burrow. And Dark is kind of forcing Epic into an awkward timing for the fight. If he can get him on creep with the Ultraslings and Banes, it doesn't matter how good those Terran units are in an ideal scenario. You'll never find that scenario against Dark. Ripping up the orbital. Epic is, it feels like he's just tunnel visioned on his army now. 195 supply out of 164. No home whatsoever to go back to. Well, that is a bunch of bio here. But the Queens are coming with the Ultras. The Transfuses hold them together. Push it back. And nothing's dying. The Ultras trying to come through the corner, but he's going to be forced to pick up. And that's just delaying the inevitable. Between the Queens, the Vipers, the Hero-less cleaving through. Epic is in Trouble Town right now. He may be the last resident, as Dark is looking to leave the series. It's hard to see a way out. The medevac, he has 14 medevacs, making up about a quarter of his total army supply. There's a Liberator finding an opportunity. The Banshees are still here. Epic trying to pull it together, but Dark has Zerglings burrowed in the Natural. The Hatchery may die here. More siege tanks. Parasitic Bomb could do terrible, terrible damage. The Banshees are kind of uncontested, awkwardly. Epic making a game of it now. Kiting back. Still no Parasitic. He finally gets one. Oh my god, it's doing so much damage. Oh no. So many medevacs. Kiting back the Ultras. Dark sends the Zerglings in. The Banelings coming back. And Epic. Like, if this was a micro trainer and you could just focus on the fights, Epic's doing a plausible job. But Dark is always forcing the issue. He's always got something else going on. And it's making it impossible for Epic to ever focus enough on actually winning the fight because he's losing his entire base back at home. He's down to 35 SCVs. He may never financially recover from this. The Ultras across the board. Cleaving the army. Finally, he's just thinned it out so much. No ghosts made it to the field. Not before the army itself was already crushed. Epic playing like a typical ladder Terran and fighting until he literally has no more SCVs, but GGWP! Epic with a hard-fought series. But Dark will take it home. And that brings us to something I'm very excited. I wanna try to. I'm a little Dark with a solid victory. Epic putting on a great show. But the result you might have expected. But I've got something special for our bonus game. Our anti-spoiler bonus game. And a little bit of something extra on top. Yes, Jimmy loaded up quickly so people don't leave because they fear change. But yes. Welcome to a new attempt at making bonus games interesting. AKA Bronze League Heroes. Terran versus Protoss. We have our Terran player in the red, Jeremy. Jeremiel. And then, well, this is, I want to say French, but no, I am Protoss. What is your best race? So, apparently a random player, Advu over here. What is your best? No idea. Maybe Zerg. Already, some random drama. Okay, says Jeremy L, who now is doing his sick build order. Against Protoss. Wait, did he actually tell him what race? Nah, I am Protoss. Wait. So that could be misconstrued. I think it's unlikely either of them are speaking their first language. I do the same build versus all matchup, which is the most Terran thing I've ever heard, but not the same units. That's probably a lie. And that build is, walling off the natural into 2 gas. Ah. Ooh. And I'm gonna activate our... So, don't let this game sway you. I know with the bonus games we've been showing off other pro games, but I saw a suggestion not too long ago about, especially for the shorter, like not hour-long sagas for the Meta League Madness, maybe using those as your anti-spoiler bonus games. Of course, here on the YouTubes, YouTube really doesn't like it if people turn off your video. Well, at any point, ideally. But when there's a clear point in your video where people will turn off. And that is, just to pontificate a bit, the reason why we usually skip to like the 2 or 3 minute mark in the first bits of the games. 1, because at the pro level, the build orders are usually very similar. And 2, that has been proven to be the #1 thing I've ever done. No amount of clever commentary, no amount of begging for likes and subscribes has equaled simply skipping the first 2 minutes of the game. So, Legacy of the Void, essentially skipping 2 minutes forward and then skipping 2 minutes past that point, has been the most successful. And with that said, this was all a long-winded way to say, well, I don't know exactly what happens, but until something more dramatic does, we're going to use our time warp. The Reapers are coming across, though. So apparently his go-to build against Protoss is very Gumiho or Beyond-esque. The Threepers. And beautiful micro, using all several dozen of it. Chases down the Adept. There's a Zealot here, but it's not enough. Edvu. And now Protoss for short. Oh, the Reapers are just eviscerating the mineral line. The mineral line itself actually went running off. Unfortunately, Protoss does not have... Well, another Zealot pops out. Warp Gate, nowhere close to being completed. And Jeremy doing kind of an applaudable job of actually spending his money behind this as well. So a bit disastrous. And actually a pretty good impression of a standard Terran build here, besides the lack of an orbital command. And, well, unfortunately, Protoss now has 22 workers. He's still building them. More Adepts in production. Warp Gate is done, but he started more Gateway units, which means the Warp Gates have yet to open up. Unfortunately. Alright, as we activate our gamer time warp. But finally, the orbital phase has begun. A cyclone on the way. As it appears we've lost track. He's going to make sure he's not going to be supply blocked. Starports begins. The Reapers are scouring the map for additional bases. Gateways coming online. Did he manage to wall in that probe? That probe just has its own little studio apartment in there. Wow, that's impressive. I thought I was bad about walling things in, but he managed to that probe trapped itself in a prison of its own design. Or it protected itself in a prison of its own masterful architecture. Oh, he tries to wall off the Reapers with a triple pylon. But unfortunately, doesn't quite hit the... Actually, this is more like, what is it? The roadblocks. So if any particularly thick Reapers, like your mother, come in here They won't be able to get through, but your average Reaper should be able to slip by. Double Forge at the natural. Though that Reaper micro on point. We do have a Banshee on the way. So, I wonder if the reason why Jeremy doesn't build the same units against different races is because he doesn't have any set of units he builds, besides, of course, Marines and Marauders. As the Banshees do feel a little out of place in this more bio-focused build, but a Dark Shrine is on the way. What happened to that probe? Wait, how did the probe get out? Did he recall or did it die? Recall is not on cooldown. Did he kill the probe? I almost want to go back, but not that much. Well, the probe has escaped, or cloaked. I'm not sure which one it is. Or was just killed. So far, Jeremy playing a near-perfect game. 1 Reaper for 10 probes killed. I lag 1 moment. Jeremy had to consult his Prima strategy guide. Unfortunately, that guide is straight out of 2010. That's why we're seeing Banshees here. Okay, it's good. Wait, quite literally. A full minute. Banshee coming back home. Jeremy has a control group for his barracks and also his other barracks, as well as 2 Reapers. Protoss has the main army, the Forges, and the Nexi on 1, 3, and 5. With some space for Protoss Jesus in between. Or Tassadar, something like that. Alright. Protoss getting that 3rd base online. As the Banshees come in for another pass, they don't have Cloak, but there's not really anything here to defend. The flying DTs, well, once again, they don't have Cloak. And the regular DTs, well, some target fire, but the Blink Stalkers, they blunk in, and both Banshees are taken out. This will be the trigger for the rest of the army. Now that the micro phase has ended, the next micro phase will begin. As both players working towards 50 workers. Upgrades are the focus for Protoss. Not quite as diligent are Terran. But the Dark Templar are a huge part of this. The army stims. There's no Medivacs. That's permanent damage. When will he realize the Dark Templars are there? The Dark Templars are wading through. It's a disaster for the Terrans. They're being... He sees it, but it's far too late. Oh, no. By the time he realizes... Small! Ah, the typical Terran counter to losing a fight. Small dick, quit now, quit now, quit! Activates the caps lock maneuver. Alright. I'm getting a sneaking suspicion Protoss will not quit now, as I'm not entirely convinced that that is the most reliable strategy. Whatever makes you feel better in the end is what's important. No, I think really the mindset is not so much making yourself feel better, but making them feel worse. Well. Alright, the game will go on, despite some suggestions otherwise. You know, I gotta point out, just in terms of you loose, which, I mean... There goes the orbital, which means less scans. Unfortunately, the turret finishes just in time. The DTs, though, still getting involved. A lot of attack moving here. Creative commentary. I would like to, at this time, mention that I do not endorse the words, the actions, the vibes, nor the outdated strategies of really any Terran player out there, but specifically this one as well. As Jeremy is spending more time in the chat box than he is. Dude, it is only game. Why you have to be Matt Protoss coming in? This is exactly how I feel about this is pretty on point for the personality types. If you feel personally attacked, well, maybe you should tell me to quit YouTube and try building medevacs. So far, Protoss not convinced. The quit per minute has gone up dramatically. By the way, I was saying this beforehand, but he paused for a minute. No, this is a full red card. What am I saying? I lag. Bravo. You don't deserve to win. I lag. So the Protoss waited. He waited for him to lag. He said, full minute. All right, let's go. We play again. It's not laggy anymore. But now it's lagging again. He's trying to hit every mark. Now, the only thing we're missing is... So we've hit you're bad, so I lost. We've hit lag. What we haven't hit is map hacks, or I wasn't even trying. All right? That's the full triple. All right? If we get a full triple, I don't know. I'll do something drastic. But we've hit 2 out of 3 of the classics. I'm always a big fan of you're so bad that I lost. That's a big one. But let's see if he can find a few more marks to hit, unlike his strategy so far. Quit. Stolar. Okay. Five more DTs on the way. The DTs have found a lot of success, both emotionally and physically so far. Either he's writing that. Well, we do see some more workers on the way. The upgrades, you know, I gotta say both players. Well, one, Protoss, I think, is having a fun time with it. But our Terran player is still macroing pretty well, despite his clear and very present anger management issues. His macro management is certainly not terrible. So this game is still not out of reach, whether or not the Protoss quits, as there's still plenty of bio on the field. Zealot's kind of caught out in the middle. The rest of the army's coming down, though. And, well, things are getting strung out. Let's go to the Terran action cam. Oh, here comes the rest. Unfortunately, the medevacs are mostly dead here. The Zealots got through, making sure those tanks are sieged up. He drops a half dozen mules. That should shore up the economy somewhat.
Upgrade complete.
All right, now let's go to our Protoss hero. Take a look at how he's handling things. Warp Prism on the way, a bold play. Oh, that's a lot of Archons there. How many Archons? He's got 11 Archons. Oh my.
Depleted. Research complete.
Warp Prism, looking for an opportunity. Gets to the very edge. Warps in Zealots instead of DTs. And a typical response. Warp Prisms are cheating. Really, building anything that isn't going to immediately die to Stim Marines and Marauders is cheating. So, as you know, that is a science fact right there. Look it up. Read a book. Yep, those are DTs. EMP also lands. The rest of the army comes back, but Protoss is going to take full advantage. Warp Prism coming back around. This base, it is a planetary fortress. Here comes what you don't understand on quit. I don't know how many Protoss speak English, but... Stop stole my game. And then quit. Ah, he thinks he's stealing his... Oh, because he's cheating. Last chance. His dad works at Blizzard. Could somebody talk to Jeremy's dad so we could get somebody who works at Blizzard to know this game still exists? All right. Then again, if a father... Well, if this was his son, I don't know if that's the... Well, last chance. Wow. He really... You know? I will say it. He didn't lie. That was the last chance to quit. Because instead... Jeremy leaves the game instead of coming back to defend. So, Advu, his statements, I am Protoss, maybe Zerg, waited for him. Wow. I don't know, I feel some way. That's not exactly how I expected it to go. I believe, that was titled like Dramatic Comeback or something like that. But, well, And it appears the Protoss stayed in the replay for several more minutes. Not entirely sure. Wait, how long does this go on for? Another 3 minutes. But I think we're going to, with the sounds of him killing the rest of the base and the Jimmy! God! What a weird day it is today. Well, on the bright side, you aren't Jeremy. So while you might not be able to beat Dark, being somewhere in the middle ground makes you better than someone out there. So, unless you are Jeremy, in which case... But thank you for watching. Hopefully it made your day a little bit better. Let me know what you think about adding some Bronze League heroes, or, you know, something special in at the end for some bonus games. And otherwise, if you got the means of motivation, be also check out Patreon. YouTube membership. I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now, though. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill. Quit.